Hi, welcome to another little tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at playing flutes that require you to really reach for those finger holes and some techniques that I have found that have really helped me. I am going on the downhill side of life. Not that things are looking down, but I'm getting older. I just got back from about a 5-mile walk, and because I'm a little bit older, my circulation doesn't circulate as well as it used to. So my hands get a little bit swollen, and the blood just doesn't come back up. So they get a little stiff, a little sore, not really sore, but stiff. They don't move quite as easily as they used to. So the first thing I would do, if I haven't played for a while, or kind of as a warm-up, just kind of lift my hands up, shake them out a little bit, flex them to get kind of the blood flowing and circulating, and in my case, moving back down to relieve some of the pressure up here. The other thing I do is, instead of just opening and closing, I stretch them out like this. So I'm really stretching and fanning out my fingers, and to help you get better used to doing that, I found from a physical therapist a little guide on ways to help. So physically move your finger out, away, until you can feel a lot of pressure, not pain, but pressure. Go to the next finger. Go to the next finger. And then all of them, and kind of push them all down. Trying to keep this where the rest of your hand straight, so you're pushing all the fingers down. Like that. Thumb out. So you're making this wider. And then flex that. Same thing on the other hand. And then do it in the opposite direction. Your thumb this way is where I'm bringing that. So I'm kind of going against the ligaments. These fingers the opposite direction now. And you're trying to increase your flexibility. Same thing here. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on those fingers. Do it a couple of times. I did not hold those in either direction for very long. I would recommend that I'd say at least 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and so on. For each stretch, or it's a stretch. You're trying to increase your mobility, is what we're trying to do, basically. So with that done, just move your fingers in kind of a random pattern like this. And that's going to loosen up your muscles and make your fingers move a little bit easier. I lined up some great big flutes. Some people struggle with flutes starting in about the E range. That would be a flute like this one, compared to an A flute, for example. The finger holes, if I try and line up the first finger hole, you can see that the first three, this is a little bit more of a stretch than on the A. These are quite a bit more of a stretch if I line up these two holes. This one's quite a bit further of a reach than this one is. So moving from that mid A to an E flute, you have to learn how to stretch out your fingers, and for me to do that, instead of keeping my hands at more of a 90-degree thing and then it's going to really cock my wrist, I've learned to kind of bend these first fingers a little bit so I'm reaching more with that third finger, and these just are a little bit more relaxed, and I'm actually kind of bringing those in, if that makes sense. Also, the length of the flute up here can change drastically the reach to these last finger holes. Because if this was a longer flute, it's going to stretch my arms further away and make my wrist bend more, making it harder to reach that flute and harder to move my fingers. So that would be an E flute, or a D is a little bit lower yet. What I'm going to be looking at, I brought out some great big flutes. One thing that does help in some cases are offset finger holes like this. Ergonomically placed is another way to put that. So looking straight down the flute, the first two in each set of three are kind of lined up, and then the other one is canted off to the side that is towards the hand that this flute is designed to play with. So this one, the top set is for the left hand, the bottom set is for a right hand down player. So that starts to put kind of a custom-made flute into some people's hands that are struggling with this. This does help a lot because this is a pretty relaxed position. Very comfortable, not much stretch at all. That was a B flat flute. This is also a B flat flute, but as you can see, it's much, much, much longer. The holes are much further away. If I put the mouthpieces at the same distance, look where those last holes are. On this one, it's almost 3 extra holes away. This is very slightly designed ergonomically, very slightly. They're almost straight. And this is a hard flute to reach. It's also very long up here. It has a much smaller diameter bore than this one, which also increases the length for the same given key flute. So this one, if I bring it in closer to me, it's easier to reach. I'm not cocking my wrist out like that. Or maybe that would be a better, I'm not cocking my wrist out if I can bring it in closer to me. So that helps for reach. This one has a deeper type of tone. This one has a little bit more in the way of higher harmonics being emphasized because of the smaller bore. There's good reasons for both of those flutes to be made. The next flute. This one is a G sharp. The holes are in line, so a flute player right hand down can play this, or left hand down can play this. Either one can play this equally well. I've learned to play both ways because I do have some ergonomically designed flutes that I've purchased used from people that are players that use their left hand down versus I learned on my right hand down, and I have since changed. The other thing that helps as the flutes get bigger is a side blow. Both of the ones I have here are designed for a right hand down player. This one, the top holes are in line. The bottom holes, the bottom hole is very slightly canted off to the right hand side. And these are designed so that you can hold the flute like this, bring it in close to you, and you kind of tilt your head or bring the flute around, either way, whichever way is more comfortable for you. So the goal is to learn how to place your fingers on that wider spread so that you can lift all of them up, put all of them down, and hit that note without squeaking. That would be the thing to work on when you start working at learning to play a flute with a bigger spread. Now, I've played some rather big flutes, and then I got this one. And this is a D in the third octave. Let me tighten this up just a little bit more. And this is made by Dana Ross of Falcon Flutes. And he made this for me, but we didn't really talk about measurements or anything like that. And this is a huge flute. And if I was to have put in any design input, it is made for a right hand down player, which I'm thankful for, but this spread is ginormous. And even for me, partly because larger finger hole here, but it's just, this is a big, big spread. It has depressions here to help you know where those fingers go. But when I first got this and when I tried to play it in my normal way, even up here, this is a huge spread. It was extremely difficult for me to reach these. I had to really start working at getting my fingers to spread out more than what they were already used to. And I've got kind of short, stubby little fingers in comparison to many people. So this flute for me was very, very difficult. I've also found that holding it close, almost against my body, and bringing the flute up so that I'm not having to reach for that mouthpiece. So up until just now, I haven't played this flute today. So I didn't, that little bit of stretching and loosening up my fingers has helped. But normally I would do a little bit of stretching before I grab this flute to play, because I still struggle with this one a little bit. So moving to flutes with a larger finger spread. Again, do those finger exercises that I showed you, stretching, making your fingers move further than they want to move, especially this direction to get that stretch more, and trying to hold your hand in one place as you move the fingers down and the thumb away. This way helps also because this big flute, for example, hitting the center finger, when I first started playing that flute, my fingers just didn't want to find those holes. It was really a struggle. Now it isn't that big of a deal, and I don't play the flute every day by any means. I am playing flutes probably in the G, A, G, low A, G, B, around that type of a range in most cases on most days. I do play A, regular A, G, an A flute like this, for example. What many people call mid-range flutes, A through an F sharp. This is also a pretty long flute this way. Some people could struggle a little bit with the whole spacing here because you do have to reach for it. So regardless of how big or how long that flute might be, as you move up in length, the holes get a little bit further apart, a little bit lower in pitch, longer length in most cases, and it will require you to retrain your fingers and the muscles on how to move differently than what they are used to moving right now. So warm up, loosen up, get those fingers moving freely, and I hope that this has given you some helpful pointers and tips and exercises to do in helping you to move up into a little bit longer, a little bit more of a stretch, a bigger flute that we all love the sound of. So, hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Click the little bell down there next to that subscription button so that you're notified whenever I do another tutorial type video like this, whether it be learning to play these wonderful instruments or helping you to play a little bit better. Could be a music video. It could be a comparison video where I am comparing different flutes, maybe of the same key, or I did a group of bass flutes a little while back, and you can find those on some of my playlists on flute comparisons, for example, or tutorials. So thanks again for watching. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. You take care.